In this video, I want to continue our discussion of marginal distributions, and in this case, I want to discuss continuous marginal distributions. So, what do we mean by marginalizing a distribution? Well, for a 2D joint distribution, what we can imagine is that marginalizing that distribution results in a one-dimensional output, and that one-dimensional output is a marginal distribution. More generally, we can imagine the marginalizing process as taking a n-dimensional probability distribution and converting it into an n-1 dimensional probability distribution, or n-k even more generally, because you can define marginalizing as just the process of taking a higher dimensional probability distribution and converting it into a lower dimension one in a certain way. Again, the distributions that result at the end of this process, the lower dimensional probability distributions, are what are known as marginal distributions. The example that I'm going to use in this case is exactly the same example that I used before for continuous two-dimensional probability distributions, and it's going to be concerning the amount of beer that an individual drinks in a week and their level of body fat. And so what we're imagining here is that we're sampling an individual at random from the population, and before we measure their body fat and before we ask them how much beer they drink, we don't know about those two quantities, and hence we're uncertain, meaning that we can represent that uncertainty using a probability distribution. So let's say we were interested in what's the distribution of the population's level of fat, and we don't care about how much beer they drink in a given week. How can we obtain that quantity? Well, the idea is what we can do is we can imagine essentially summing over all the sort of values of the probability distribution across sort of horizontal lines. Rather than necessarily thinking about it like summing, what you could do is you could imagine that we were walking along these horizontal lines. And if you imagine walking across these sort of directions, in the sort of top case here, we wouldn't have to expend much energy because it would be a relatively flat journey. Whereas if we were walking along this particular place here, we'd go up and then we'd go down, and so we'd expend quite a lot of energy. Similarly, at the bottom here, we wouldn't expend a lot of energy here because, again, our journey is relatively flat. So what we could do is we could imagine sort of quantifying the amount of energy that we use on each of these walks, and then we could sort of plot that as a function of our starting position. And it might look something like this orange line which I'm drawing here. And this sort of line that I've drawn here, if we do the calculation correctly, if we manage to sort of convert our energies into a sort of probability, then this will be a valid probability distribution as a function of an individual's level of fat. Indeed, this univariate distribution is the marginal probability distribution of a randomly chosen individual's level of fat. Similarly, we could do the same to work out the marginal distribution for an individual's amount of beer that they drink in a given week. So to do this, now we sort of consider vertical lines which sort of cut through our probability distribution. Remember, because this is a contour plot, essentially the probability distribution's value is coming out of the page. Then what we could do is we could sort of tot up the energy that we expend walking along those lines, and we might obtain a curve that looks something like the green line which I've drawn. And again, if we do this sort of totting up of energy in a sufficiently correct manner, then this distribution which we've drawn here will be a valid probability distribution. So what's actually the calculation that we're carrying out in both cases? Well, essentially, to work out the marginal distribution for an individual's level of fat, we just do the same thing that we were doing in the discrete case, except we have to use the continuous analogue of a sum, that is, an integral. So we integrate between 0 and infinity the joint distribution of beer and body fat with respect to the amount of beer that they drink. So essentially what we're doing is we're kind of averaging over all the uncertainty in the variable we're not interested in, which here is beer, and hence that's why we're integrating with respect to the amount of beer that an individual drinks. Similarly, to work out the distribution, the marginal distribution of the amount of beer which someone drinks in a given week, all we do is we integrate our joint distribution of beer and body fat, but now with respect to an individual's body fat. And again, we note that because we're not interested in body fat, we're integrating with respect to that particular variable. Okay, so the method which I've outlined thus far is exact. If we actually carry out this integration, then the results that we get are the exact forms of the marginal probability distributions. But it turns out there is also an approximate way, which is very useful in Bayesian statistics, and the approximate way works by sampling. Don't worry if you don't know what sampling is, because much of this course and much of the book is concerned with what do we mean by sampling and how does sampling work in Bayesian statistics. But for now, what you can do is you can imagine what we're doing when I say sampling from the joint distribution, in this case, of the amount of beer which an individual drinks in a given week and their level of body fat, is you can imagine selecting individuals at random from the population. And each time we sample an individual, essentially we record their amount of beer that they drink in a given week and their level of body fat. And we just carry out this process lots of times. And then we might get out a sampling distribution, so just a number of samples that we get from it, that might look something like that blue plot that I'm drawing now. Right? It might look something like this, which kind of mirrors, you can see, the contour distribution, or the contour plot which I've shown in the top left here. So how can we use the samples from the joint distribution to construct approximate marginal distributions? Well, essentially what we do is now we consider sort of bins. Let's say we were interested first of all in an individual's level of body fat, disregarding how much beer they drink in a given week. Then what we could do is we could imagine binning our body fat variable into, in this case I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separate bins, and then what we could do is we could count the number of samples that fall in that bin, and then what we could do is we could sort of draw a histogram using those bin counts. So here in the first case I think we've only got a couple, in the next bin we've got quite a few more, so it might look something like that. And then in the sort of third bin, we've got the most, something like that. And then we've got quite a few in the next bin, and then relatively few in the one after that. So you can see that this distribution, or this histogram that I've constructed here rather, is an approximation to the exact curve that we derived before. Because we've only got relatively few samples and we've used quite wide bins, it's quite a poor approximation to that case. But you can imagine if we captured more and more samples and made our bins more narrow, then the shape of our histogram here might start to much better approximate the true distribution. Similarly, if we were interested in the marginal distribution for an individual's volume of beer that they drink in a given week, we could again sort of carry out this binning process, but now we'd be concerning vertical bins here. And then all we would be doing is just, as we did before, counting the number of samples that fell in each of those bins. So I think we got sort of 1 or 0 in the first one, then quite a few in the next, then a lot more in the one after that, and then relatively few in the next one, and then 0 in the one after that. So in this case, we obtain a histogram which is, again, it's not a very good approximation in this case, but the idea is if we carried out enough, or if we captured enough samples from this joint distribution, then again, this should start to be a good approximation to the true sampling distribution which I've shown over here on the left. So, to summarise, marginal distributions for continuous probability distributions can be obtained exactly by integrating the joint density with respect to the nuisance variable, the variable we're not actually interested in. Alternatively, there is an approximate way to derive a marginal distribution, and you do this by sampling from that joint distribution. But then the idea is that if we have enough samples from the joint distribution and then we draw histograms with respect to only the variable we're interested in, so we get univariate histograms, then what those histograms actually represent is an approximation to the true marginal distribution. And if we collect enough samples and we make our bins narrow enough, then the approximation can be pretty good.